Now, the Liberal Democrats have confirmed that they would make the sale of cannabis legal if they are elected into government. The party says it would allow licensed shops to sell the drug to over 18-year-olds. People would also be able to grow cannabis at home and to smoke at small social clubs. Well, in 2014, a government report commissioned by the then Liberal Democrat Minister Norman Baker found there was no evidence that tough enforcement of drug laws led to lower levels of usage. Oh, we can talk about this now to Julian Huppert from the Liberal Democrats, who joins us. Thank you so much for being with us. Just explain then the policy, because a lot of people in this country think that all drugs are dangerous and that they should never be legalised.
Well, for 50 years now, almost, we've had a system where cannabis and other drugs were illegal. Tobacco and alcohol, which are very dangerous, were legal, but everything else wasn't. And it hasn't stopped people from having cannabis. Millions of people have used and still use cannabis. It just hasn't worked. What it has done is it's given control to criminal gangs who make a huge amount of money out of this and develop more and more potent and harmful strains, the skunks and the spice that we see now. So our policy has actually made things much, much worse. And we say it's time to end that. I don't want criminal gangs deciding who gets to have this and what they get. Anyone with a 20-quid note can get some. I want it to be regulated so that it's safer for people.
So when you talk about skunk being a more dangerous form of cannabis than maybe was around 10 or 20 years ago, are you saying that that would not then be legalised under these plans?
Absolutely. So there are two components that you find in cannabis, one which gives the high and one of which is actually protective. And in skunk, what's happened is you have a lot more of the bit that gives you the high and a lot less or even almost none of the protective component. So we would say there's a maximum limit on how much of the active component there can be and a minimum amount of the protective piece. So it's a bit like with alcohol, that you have to say how much alcohol there is. There are some limits on that. You can't just get some backroom stuff, bootleg liquor with methanol in. We'd make it safer by law, and we would be able to regulate that by taking it away from the criminals.
It is a policy, whatever you say, that will alarm many people. Do you think it's a vote winner?
I think it should be welcomed by people who actually want to see people protected from the mental health harms that we're seeing with skunk and with spice. This will save lives. This will prevent young people getting into really nasty things. This will make people's lives better, and it will free up the police so that rather than nicking somebody for having a spliff, which frankly is a bit of a waste of time, they can actually work on other things: sexual violence, domestic violence, all the things that we'd like the police to be spending their time on. So people should be really pleased with a policy that will protect children, protect everybody's mental health and free the police up to get on with other things.
Can I just ask you about one other area of policy that's been unveiled, which is a manifesto commitment now which would offer fathers an extra month of paid parental leave to encourage the greater sharing of parental responsibilities. Is that something the country can afford, do you think?
I think the real question is, can it afford not to? There are huge benefits from fathers spending more time with their children, particularly at a very early stage. And while we managed to get through, while we were in government, shared parental leave, so that there can be a more fair arrangement between fathers and mothers of how they look after the child in that first year, it's still far too rare for fathers to take time off to really spend time with that child early on. And that makes it harder for those who want to. Too often they face discrimination in the workplace, people who think, bizarrely, that a man shouldn't be looking after his child when it's actually one of the greatest things they can do. So I think this will be really helpful for families. I think we'll see the benefits in how the children do later. So I think we just can't afford not to do it.
All right, good to talk to you. Thank you for your time today. That's Julian Huppert there of the Liberal Democrats.